Hello, everyone. Good evening. This is John Henry Soto. Welcome to JHS Interviews Presents. And tonight I have Ivette Vinas here. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I'm going to ask her, actually, of course, but that's how I've been pronouncing it. I think I'm correct. She is a wonderful jazz vocalist, actress, and a vocal instructor. She's also uh, um, a teacher. She does a lot of entrepreneurial work. So it's great pleasure to have her here. Let me just bring her on here, ladies and gentlemen. Please welcome Ivette.
Hello,
So
hello.
hello. Thank you so much for being here. What? How do you pronounce your last name? Because I know it's got that little squiggly line, and so I know it's
Yes.
got that
Yeah, the
that
squiggly line is an enye, so it's pronounced Viñas.
Viñas. Okay, so I
Viñas.
said Vinas, so I'm way off. All right, sorry about that.
It's okay.
I was, I was gonna ask you that before, but it's so great to see you. It's so great to finally get to actually talk to you. I know we were back and forth a little bit when you were in Jersey, and you did an event here, and I missed the event. I couldn't get there, but I saw all the wonderful people that were there, and I interacted with you via social media, and just kept talking and said at one point we're going to get together, have some coffee.
Yes,
And then when I was thinking about planning it, you moved, you went,
I know.
you traveled. So you went to, and where are you now exactly?
I'm in Miami,
Miami. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought.
but I will
Cool.
tell you this. I miss Jersey like you wouldn't believe. I fell in love.
Really?
Yeah, I fell in love with Bayonne. I
Yeah,
really did. It's a
yeah.
special
That's what
place.
it is actually. I'm from New York originally. So for me, this is as suburban as you get. Coming from the South Bronx and then living in Manhattan and Queens and all that. But I do have a high affinity for Bayonne right now, and it's accepted me so far, and it's been a lot of fun. So yeah, definitely. If you ever want to come back, we'd love to have you here. It'll be great, great, great,
Yeah,
great.
I'm telling you, I'm really I feel like Bayonne is home to me, even though I was born and raised here in Miami. Isn't that
Wow,
crazy?
that's so interesting. Wow. So I was going to ask you that next. So
Mhm.
originally you're from Miami.
Yes, I am. Yes,
Okay.
I am.
Did-
Uh,
That's
mhm.
awesome. Did you have a musical background? Like was your family very musical?
My family, well, I would say not necessarily. Okay,
Mhm.
from my mom's side, it's an interesting backstory to my mom's side of the family because we're from Cuba. Well, they're from Cuba. I was born in Miami.
Mhm.
Um, And from my mom's side of the family, they were actually the first to introduce the jukebox in Cuba. Okay, so yeah, isn't that
Whoa.
crazy? And they were the owners of the Pan Art music studios, recording studios, which is like
Oh
a
my,
big deal,
yeah.
because Pan Art Records, that's like
Yeah,
huge.
yeah. Oh
So
my,
I guess it's in the blood. You know,
absolutely.
I've been singing since I was a little girl.
Yeah.
Uh, but it's not something that my family actually wanted me to pursue. You know,
Uh,
I I took voice lessons. I studied piano for like close to,
mhm.
7 years or so. I then fell in love with theater and but I'm a little hard-headed and stubborn. So, as if you tell me don't do it, that
Yeah.
I'm going to do
Yeah.
quite
That's
the
that's
opposite.
that's the
So I
true artist.
studied, yeah, so I studied theater. I studied music. I first started um, studying opera at the university. And but that's just there's something, I don't know, I felt more inclined towards musical theater.
Hmm.
So I got my degree in musical theater, and I've been working as a professional performer, for over 20 years.
Wow.
And yeah, I started my rounds in New York in the early 90s, like in the mid 90s.
Hmm.
I was one of those singers that sang in the subways. you know
Really?
I would wait on tables. Let me ask you, did you ever hear of the Dynamat? At the Dynamat, Ellen Stardust, the Dynamat in
Yeah.
Times Square.
That sounds very familiar to me.
Yeah,
That
I
sounds
was a
very.
singing waitress.
Are you,
I was, it's crazy. I was a singing waitress, and when I would end my shift, I would go to the subway station to make a few more bucks, and I would
yeah.
just sing.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. I met this guitar player, that only played Spanish music, like boleros.
Uh-huh.
And that's how I really started, building my repertoire, you
Mm.
know, and
Yeah.
that led to me getting into some like really like small, contest.
Mhm.
And the only reason why I entered that contest, it was somewhere in Queens, actually. The contest was in some like really like seedy restaurant in Queens. And me and this guitar player, okay, this poor guy, I brought him over to to the contest and I said, you better win this. Why? Because the ultimate prize was recording a CD.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't have a CD. So I'm like, I don't have the money
Right.
to record a CD. So this is like my big break. I'm going to, get a full CD. And I won. And
Oh, wow.
and I was able to record a CD on a Sunday morning, nonetheless, on a Sunday morning at 9 a.m. in
Wow.
Brooklyn, in Williamsburg. So they gave me the slots that nobody wanted,
Right.
but I recorded a CD,
Yeah.
So that's basically how I started.
Oh, wow, that's so great. I mean, I
Yeah.
love New York because of that, I mean,
So
you
I
can
did
just there's just so many things you can trip over and just meet so many wonderful people, and when I lived there, I mean, I lived there for most of my life. I've only been here in Bayonne for about 7 years, 7, 8 years. But in New York, you can really just you can really find those experiences that people write
Mhm.
about in books, and you read these amazing
I
stories like the
know.
story you just said. That's a chapter, you know what I mean? It's like, because there's so much more that you can draw from that, and I just love that experience. I love New York because of that. That's why I think Bayonne is so great, because it's so close to the city, and I get in there within 40 minutes, 35 minutes. I can be in Midtown. So that's so great. Did you,
Yeah.
when was your kind of like aha moment where you kind of said, I want to be a singer? There's always that, like you mentioned about your family a little bit. They
Mhm.
didn't want you to pursue that, is because it's, I mean, there's so much uncertainty in it.
Yeah.
For a lot of people, the reality of whatever they're thinking is not there. I went through the same thing with my grandparents who raised me, with music and stuff. And what was it in your mind that said, this is something that I really have to do? Because it's really not a choice. We have to do it. It's not, you can't like not do it.
I know, right?
It's
And that's
crazy. It's
and that's the cross we have to bear, right,
really is.
John?
Yeah.
Because you gotta pay the bills,
Right.
and if you're like me, I'm a single parent. I've been a single mom for 11 years, and
Wow.
I've been, steering the ship all on my own
Hmm.
as an artist and as an entrepreneur, trying to figure things out.
Yeah.
And it is the cross you have to bear. I don't want mean to sound so dramatic, but it is, because at the end of the day, you're always asking yourself, who am I? And
Hmm.
am I in my lane? You know,
Right. Right.
more so than not, you know, life
Yeah.
takes over. Life happens, and you just gotta, roll with the punches, so to speak.
Yeah. I mean, the thing that scares me the most is not doing it.
I
Like,
know. Mhm.
I start thinking about myself, about like, what have I missed? Like thinking when I'm like, in my mid 90s, because I think I'll live there I'll get to that. And I'm
Mhm.
thinking, like, did I live a life? Did I live the life that I want to live, or did I live to pay bills, or did I? You have to pay the bills, but you can pay the bills and do your art and have a wonderful life. And that's the thing that a lot of people don't really understand. Um,
Yeah.
so, I mean, it's in the blood, like you said, and it's something that, like, the cross that we do have to bear, and it's not really even being dramatic, because at the end of the day, it's a pain when you're not doing it. You really have this like hard time
I mean,
breathing sometimes.
how many odd jobs,
Ugh.
and how many other jobs have you had to do in your life? Because I'm going to tell you, I've lost count.
Yeah, I can't even tell you the most. I've worked in the health club industry a lot, so I did different clubs, but I can't tell you, between clubs and between recording, and then when I left to just go play music for a while, and then
Mhm.
coming back, and then it was just a constant struggle to try to just keep going and treat fun. So I've done everything, from messenger to, when I was much younger, I did messenger. I got fired from a messenger job once. Um, and a bunch of other things. I did a not a doorman, but the concierge.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so I was in a building, and people come in with their IDs, and I saw some celebrities there, which was kind of Johnny Pacheco actually came in once,
So
and
great.
yeah, that was really cool. So I got to meet him and a few other people. But again, it's one of those things where you're not really thinking about that. You're thinking about when you get off, you get your paycheck, and it wasn't my career. I wasn't going there to be a career concierge. You know what I mean? Just like all those odd jobs, that's why they're called odd, because they're
Yeah,
strange. They're just jobs you wouldn't normally want to do. But you know,
absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely. And I'm going to tell you, it's, you know, kind of like to not change the subject, but you know what I've noticed, that a lot of artists tend to feel like, I'm an artist, so this is what I have to do. And I feel like kind of like that's like a little self-entitlement there,
right.
you know?
I know
You know
what
what
you
I
mean
mean?
by that.
I
Yeah,
just have to say it. It's because
yeah,
I really do think it's a beautiful thing when you were born with a gift. And I mean, I believe in God, and I believe that God gave me a gift,
hmm,
but he also gave me other gifts,
right,
you know?
right. Yeah,
And the ability, to be sustain yourself financially, the ability to support your family,
hmm,
not just through your art, but through anything, and have that attitude of do whatever it takes.
right.
I think that's an admirable quality.
Mhm.
But I digress.
Yeah,
You
no, no.
I
I
just feel
love
like I
that.
have to say that, because,
Yeah,
and I will tell you this, I'm sorry to like cut you off, but
no,
now
no.
with this whole COVID-19 stuff that's going on, and really, you and I know that there's something going on and beneath this whole
Well,
thing.
yeah.
That's another podcast.
That's
That's
another.
another,
That's somewhere else.
but
That's Sunday
I've
night.
noticed that a lot of artists, instead of finding ways to monetize on their art form, or trying to do other things, they're just so reliant on, I am the artist and this is all I'm going to do. And
Right.
that just never sat well with me.
Yeah.
I've had to basically do anything really.
Yeah. And that's an interesting viewpoint, because I do believe that there is this weird, not maybe not weird for them obviously, but there's this entitlement
Yeah.
of when someone's an artist. I had somebody once say, um a true art this is so stupid. I don't even know why I'm saying it. But he said, I was talking about making money. I can't remember what it was, but we were talking about something, and he said a true artist doesn't make money. And and I remember just laughing at him, and I was like, that makes no sense. But I understand what he was saying. I mean,
Yeah.
I understand where his mind is. He's thinking that when you're making the art, it's just about your art. You're not thinking about money, and that to a certain degree that is true. But again, you do have responsibilities. You want to eat, and the whole idea of the starving artist thing does not fly with me. I don't
Yeah,
believe in that.
that's
It's
never
all
sat well with
bullshit.
me at all. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
and
never sat well with me at all. And
yeah,
I really think, I think you are doing it when you choose to take that standpoint of, I am an artist. This is all I'm going to do, whether I, can live off of it or not. I really think it's a disrespect to your art.
oh, completely. It's a disrespect also to the people that are depending on artists. This planet depends on artists to actually make things better and to make us feel good. And when you actually take your gifts and you are selfish with them and you don't put them out, and you don't, I think you're just being selfish. Yeah, and it's really is a disservice to the artist and to people that are out there waiting for your art. And it really is.
Yeah.
I do have a big stand on that, a big viewpoint on that. But yeah, in whatever it takes, right? I mean, that's the motto. I think I follow Grant Cardone a lot, and um,
Yeah.
yeah,
I
and
used to be a Grant Cardone ambassador. I was his ambassador for close to 3 years.
oh wow, oh my
I
God,
did a lot
there
of
you
work
go.
with him.
That's
I
amazing.
sold a lot of his sales
Yeah,
programs. I've gone to two of his boot camps,
wow.
and I will tell you this. Like you mentioned, the starving artist lifestyle just doesn't work for you. Well, back in 2015, I really decided that it wasn't going to work for me either. Even though I've always been entrepreneurial, my spirit is definitely entrepreneurial.
Hmm.
I mean, I've launched businesses. I've had online health food stores. I had a theater at one point. I've always been very business driven. But back in 2015, I really, I really looked at my life and said, I would like to think ahead, especially since my children are counting on me. Um, I need to learn some skills
Mm,
because the starving artist lifestyle was really getting to me.
yeah.
I was already bored with being broke.
Right.
It's like, seriously. And the
Enough
thing,
already.
yeah, I would go to shows, and after the show, everybody would greet me, and after concerts, and I looked like a million bucks. I looked like a goddess. But
Yeah.
then I would, go home to, my crappy apartment, with my,
Yeah.
thrift store clothes, and really with, $200 to my name. And I thought, that's so irresponsible.
Right.
And I need to change. So in 2015, I made that change. I said, I'm going to put everything on hold, and I'm going to learn how to sell. I'm
Mm,
going to learn about business for real. And basically, for the past 5 years, that's what I've been doing. I
yeah.
went into a recluse. I main, I only did maybe a handful of concerts throughout, like within like every year, I would only do like maybe like 3, 4, 5 concerts. I
Mhm.
used to do concerts almost every month,
Wow.
you know. But I said, I got to bite the bullet, and this is a sacrifice that I need to make for the better good.
Yeah.
And it really has paid off because the knowledge, um, the the knowledge you acquire, by kind of like isolating yourself,
Mhm.
from the noise,
Mhm.
it's incredible. And
Yeah.
basically, that's what I've been doing for the past 5 years.
Wow.
Just learning and implementing and failing
Mhm.
and getting back up and doing things again.
Yeah.
And, now I'm at the point where, I can, I'm actually in the process of recording a new
Right.
album. I haven't released a new album since 2000 and what year are we in? 2020?
2020.
2020? Sorry, I lost my train of thought. 2020. Yeah, 2008.
Wow.
2008 that's been a long time.
Yeah, yeah. So
So,
it's time.
oh, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. So that's interesting. You were saying about isolating yourself, and I constantly I talk about the quiet time that people never see.
Mm-hmm.
There's that moment, like, and I have my little book that I'm always carrying around with my pencil, and
It's like
there's
a
just a
journal.
quiet time where I'm sitting there and nobody sees me for 2 or 3 hours writing, researching, studying something online, taking a webinar. I mean, how many webinars have we done in our lives? I mean, for Christ's sakes, and some of
No,
them you draw a tremendous amount of knowledge from. Some of them are, man, I got a couple little things here and there, but that's not the point. The point is you pay the money, you get the value, you take out what you need from it, and you keep moving forward. But nobody sees that. Nobody sees the artist developing and building and learning, because you're right. It is a business. That's why it's called show business. And if you don't know the business part, but you only know how to show, at some point, unless you have somebody working for you that you really trust, you really have to figure it out, and you have to kind of like apply that stuff yourself. So that's really amazing that you did that. But the whole whatever it takes is really an important thing to really follow, and to always know that you're an artist when you're sleeping. It's not
well,
just.
yeah, and it was hard because
Yeah.
you're an artist, but you also know that you have a responsibility. You have a
Mhm.
responsibility to your children. I have two
Yeah.
boys,
Yeah.
and I'm raising them on my own, and they're two boys, and I'm
Yeah.
raising them to be great men. I mean, that's what I aspire.
Sure.
Um, and really just I didn't want them to continue seeing me, living day by day.
Mhm.
Now,
Mm.
mind you, I'm nowhere near where I want to be,
Of course.
but
Yeah.
I'm
No.
definitely so much more skilled than I was 5 years ago.
Wow. And you're closer, and that's the
Oh,
main.
absolutely, absolutely. And I will tell you this: I really do feel that if artists were to take responsibility and show accountability,
Mhm.
uh, they would actually learn how to monetize from their art.
Right.
It's funny. One of the things that you've seen it, I've seen it, we've all seen it during this whole COVID thing. artists are continuously live streaming their music,
Mm-hmm.
their art, their work. And I
Yeah.
think, yeah, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
But most of them don't know how to monetize.
Right.
And that really takes me to this whole like sharing culture
Mm-hmm.
that, it's that's what it is,
Right. Right.
we got to share and we got to stay relevant, right? And I
Right.
think a lot of people are afraid to be forgotten.
Mm.
And that's I believe that that's something that I thought back in 2015 is like I'm willing to risk being forgotten, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
But when I return,
You'll be
I'm at a
back.
different level. I'm
Right.
at a different level at all levels, you
Mm-hmm.
know? So so yeah. Well, that was I don't even remember the question you asked me, but we kind of like went all over the place.
No, that was great. I love it. I love it. Yeah, I mean, one of the things we were talking about is the artist's responsibility. I think we've covered that, and
Yeah.
it's also one of those things where you don't know exactly where an artist is emotionally, because we carry sometimes. I mean, I'm speaking for myself, but we carry sometimes baggage that
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people don't really know,
Mm-hmm.
struggles and invalidations that we've had when we were, young, or whenever. And so you don't know exactly. So I don't ever blame an artist for behaving a certain way. I kind of want to, I'd rather just kind of know what's going on with them, see if they're actually doing something. And if I know them personally, I do reach out to a lot of different artists, and I'll see how they're doing. I'm a big, I like to check in on people. I don't know why that's like a thing of mine, but
Oh,
um,
that's really wonderful. And
yeah,
I
I,
think a
I
lot of
send
it,
messages to.
I think that's a wonderful trait that you have
Thank you. I
because
appreciate
it's a
that.
very human trait. Not so many people are so self-obsessed.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think it's also concern. I think people are
yeah.
really at this time. Like what I did, one of the things that I did was I sent out almost 200. Actually, my texts. I didn't know that there was a limit of how many texts I could send out, but they told me to stop for a day. But I started texting on when this whole first COVID thing happened. And sometimes I'm in the kitchen and I'm making something, and somebody comes to my mind, and I'm like, oh wow, I haven't heard from her, or I haven't seen him, and like, so I'll send him a quick text or a Facebook message or whatever, just to check in on them. And I tell you, a lot of them are really like so happy that I did, and so thank you so much. And
Oh, that's
for me,
nice.
it's an important thing, especially if they're artists, because I know that right now artists are, getting challenged, in a different way right now. I think that this is actually a rebirth of a lot of things. I think this is something that a lot of artists are going to come out guns a-blazing and doing amazing things. The ones that take this time to actually prepare for when we're actually back out again and stuff. So I think that artists need to be protected by other artists and need to be helped. You know what I mean? That's like my thing on it and stuff. And so do you remember? Because I mean, we were talking about jobs and stuff, odd jobs. Like I said, I got fired from one job once. I cursed out the lady on the phone. She fired because I went to the wrong address. I was a messenger. I was a kid, but I went to the wrong address, and she starts yelling at me and stuff with the phone. So I hung up the phone and I go back to the office. She's like, "You don't work here anymore." So I cursed her out. But I was a kid.
You're like,
Yeah,
yeah, I really care.
I know. I was
It
like,
so hurts.
later, and I was able to actually to still find another job like the next day. That was
I
another thing.
know.
Whenever I left work, I always found another. What was your oddest job? Do you remember a job that you had that was kind of like, what am I doing?
Wow, what am I doing here? I ask myself that every day, but hey, the oddest job. Wow. Okay. The an odd job comes to mind, and then I remember something else that's even odder.
Oh my
So,
gosh!
but
Wow.
one that really just I delivered groceries in New York. I
Okay.
delivered groceries. As soon as I moved to New York, okay, with back in 1995, I moved to New York with just one suitcase and a dog. okay, and like
Wow.
$150 in my pocket. This is crazy. He's like, who
Yeah.
does that?
No. No. Nobody.
And I had to figure it out.
Yeah.
The next day, I got a job at a diner. And speaking of being fired, you know who fired me from that job? Well, this is nuts. And I only got that job because I was walking by in Chelsea. I was in Chelsea. You remember the Empire Diner?
Yes.
That was my first job in New York. And
Was it there?
I saw Blondie and Cyndi Lauper, okay,
Okay.
sitting outside, okay, and they were like
Wow.
drinking coffee, and I'm like, oh my god, I got to work here.
Oh
I
wow.
still have to work here. So I walked in, I got the job, and I worked the midnight shift. 3 months later, I got fired because Mike Tyson, who came in with like a crew of like people in motorcycles, his girlfriend apparently, had a complaint about me or something. I was fired on the spot. Whatever.
Wow.
Anyway, odd jobs. Let's go back to odd jobs. Well, I delivered groceries in the dead of winter in New York,
Yeah.
and they couldn't pay me. But I worked basically for food and for dog food. I had to feed my dog,
Right. Right. Right.
and, and it was crazy, so that was kind of like an odd job.
Wow.
Another job that I thought was really odd was, having to, let's say, like, I worked at a Walmart, okay,
Ooh.
in the stocking, like, in the back.
Wow. So
And
you
I had
really have done a lot.
Oh, you don't even know, okay? You don't even know, but you got to do what you got to do.
Right.
Nothing,
Yeah.
and I will tell you this, nothing has ever been beneath me, because
Right.
at the end of the day, it's about feeding my kids.
That's right.
You know,
Right.
it's about feeding my kids. So what I
Mhm.
would do is I would do a show, okay, and I would seriously, like, at the end of my concert, I would just get dressed in my car, put on my khaki pants, get seriously, I would, while driving, take off my heels, take off my dress, everything, get dressed while driving down the turnpike, okay?
Wow.
And I would work the midnight shift at Walmart. And by the
Oh
time
my.
I got out of the car, I had my khaki pants on, my navy blue shirt, and my "Welcome to Walmart. My name is Yvette" name tag right here, you
Right.
know?
Wow.
And whatever, I did it.
Yeah.
That was an odd job because, I was, at that time, I was only sleeping, let's say, 2 hours per day,
Oh my gosh.
and, but,
Yeah.
you deal with it.
But yeah, and it's wonderful that you're sharing these stories, because I think a lot of people will take value in the fact that whatever they're doing right now, that if they have that
Yeah.
mindset of continuing, that's the key thing, right? We just got to keep going, keep going, keep researching, keep, studying, keep learning, all that stuff, that you will get there, you will get to a better place. And I think that it's great, these stories, because a lot of people don't want to share the stories, you know what I mean?
A lot
Like,
of people don't want to share it because they don't have the guts to
yeah,
share where they are from zero. Because
right,
of course, you go on Instagram. I'm just choosing that, social media platform. You
yeah,
go you go on Instagram. Most of it is a big lie anyway.
right.
Okay?
Everybody's like, suddenly everybody's rich and
And
like,
people are constantly sharing their successes, but nobody wants to share their
right,
failures and where they're
right,
at.
right,
And
yeah,
you know, listen, something happens when you decide to kind of like isolate yourself and say, you know what, I'm going to go within, deep
hmm,
within, and I'm going to figure my life out. I'm going to see what
yeah,
I need to work on.
yeah,
You know, you realize that most of everything is a big lie.
mm,
Most of everything's a big lie, John.
hmm,
And people are lying to themselves.
yeah.
They lie to themselves all the time.
Yeah, I
You
see. I
know,
see a lot of it on social media. I try to be as transparent as possible. I have my kids on. My social media is pretty wide open, but I fall trapped to it to a certain degree. What I do with this right here, right? I'm shooting right here. I'm in my house, right? Because I had a studio that I had to close down and all that. But you know what? I didn't hide that fact. I had to tell people my studio is
yeah,
over. I'm done. I have to close it up because of the whole COVID thing, clients and everything. So, but I moved everything to my house, and
that's
it
so
turned
great.
out great. So I shared that story a couple of about a month and a half ago. Um, and it really was. It felt more. I didn't do it for. I didn't do it for anyone else other than myself at the time,
Mm.
but it turned out to be more beneficial for others to hear that. Because then they opened up to me. A couple of people messaged me and said, "You know what? I was going through a little time. I'm glad that you're making it go right." Somebody called me about my green screen and how do I set it up and all that. So I did a little tutorial for them on what I do, what mic do I use, what all that stuff. And it came from the fact that I was just open and I said, "Listen, I'm doing this now. I'm in my house and I'm being transparent about it." But one thing I don't like is when people are like, they're in front of they're taking pictures in front of jets or something, or
It's so
they got all
funny.
these, they're dressed amazing and heading out to the club and stuff like
I
that. And
know.
and
But
it's
it's
just such
part
a
of what.
weird life.
Well, it's really sad, and it's doing a lot of harm. It's doing a lot of harm to people.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, I have a 13-year-old and a 19-year-old. Wow,
Mm.
he turned
Wow.
19 2 days ago, and I can see how that Instagram instant
Mm-hmm.
um, that instant society that we've
Yeah.
created has affected them because first of all, it's affected their attention spans.
Mm-hmm.
It's affected their ability to really respect the process.
Right.
Okay, so
Right.
they feel like, well, wait a minute, my friend who's 19 is making six figures online selling whatever,
Right.
or
Right.
trading or something.
Right.
And then of course I'm the mom. They're not going to listen to me, and I
Right.
and I tell them, man, it takes time. Anything great
Yeah.
takes time.
Yeah.
Anything
And
great takes time.
yeah, and just to that point, I love that, respect the process, because that's something that I also believe so much, as an artist, as a songwriter and a filmmaker and stuff. You want to, the process of making any art is the joy of the art for me, right? It's also a joy when other people seeing it, but when you're actually making it, when you're doing it, that to me is so much joy, and that process is not fast. You know what I mean? That's not,
It's
it's
not.
not a fast thing. It can, you can hit success rather quickly. A lot of people do, so some people do, and that's great, you know what I mean? But they still had to put stuff in. They still had to put the time in, and
Yeah.
somebody mentioned Justin Bieber, right? Because he was picked out of YouTube and playing his little guitar, singing a song and stuff. And I can't remember who it was. I think it was P. Diddy or one of those guys saw him and called him up and whatever. And a legend or a teen idol was born, right? Well, he got on the YouTube and he recorded himself playing these songs. He taught himself how to play guitar. He
Oh,
knows
cool.
how to sing. He's, you know what I mean? It wasn't like it was an instant thing. No, he had to work in order to be recognized. You know what I mean? He's a good-looking kid, and I think actually Justin Bieber is very, very talented, and I think he's going to do great things in the future. I know that's just, people think I'm crazy when I say that, but I think he's
No.
going to do great, great things. He's still super young. He's already been the biggest you can be star in the world. He's got nothing to prove anymore. He's just going to want to do good work, So I'm hoping that he does. But my point is that he still had to put that work in. Even at 16, he had to go out and do those things, not to
Oh, yeah.
mention to be thrown into the front of thousands and millions of people and suddenly expect for him to be able to produce. That's not easy. That's not
No.
easy. So I totally agree with respecting the process. What's your process like? What do you do as far as like when you decide a project and then that what develops afterwards? What's the process?
My process has always been I I I start from the end and then I walk,
Hmm.
backwards.
Okay,
I,
reverse
I
engineer kind of a deal.
I reverse engineer everything. I've I wasn't aware that I was doing that
Hmm.
until someone a couple of years ago, pointed that out. It's like, oh,
Hmm.
that's really interesting that um, you don't have to have everything in place. You don't have to, if you have the idea, you see it, okay, start from the product, you got to see it. And
Hmm.
when I mean product, it could be anything from, I don't know, a coffee mug to an album.
Right.
It's a product. You got to see it first, and
Mm-hmm.
then you figure out how to make it happen. So,
Right.
and I think that's a survival thing that I picked up along the way, because usually when I've wanted to undergo projects, and I come up with I have an idea. Usually, I'm bootstrapped, for cash, and you know how it
Mm-hmm.
is.
Mm-hmm.
When you want to, let's say you have a documentary you want to film, there's you got to invest some money into it, and the same
Right.
thing happens with recording an album. I mean, I'm
Oh
I'm in
yeah.
the process of doing that now, and luckily I've been working with my musical director, I mean, since I would say like maybe 15 years or so.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I would say 13, 14, 15 years. So, we finish off our sentences. Like, he knows exactly what I want, I know exactly what, and then we just execute.
Yeah.
Um, and that's basically my process. I said, okay, this is what I want to do. Now I'm going to start from the very end, and then I'm going to walk myself backwards.
Mm.
Okay. And I think that's why having a clear vision of what you want, is super important.
Oh yeah.
Because if you don't have a clear vision, you're just winging it. And basically you're doing what a lot of other people do, which is they're just cranking out content, music,
Mm.
products, but there's nothing what's that word I'm looking for? uh
Like
there's nothing concrete. It's fleeting.
ah
So what I find, like, when I have a really distinct vision of a project that I want to embark, uh more so than not, it's something that is means something. It's meaningful. And at
mhm.
this point of my life, it's important for me not to just crank out whatever song, you know,
Right.
uh, go perform whatever play. It's not about that. It really is about creating something meaningful.
Mm.
And I know that it's hard in this society we are living in right now. It's about being in front of people. I mean, people are constantly in front of people.
Right.
Their private lives are showcased for everyone to see. I'm
Mm-hmm.
I'm not that way. You
Mm-hmm.
know, very seldom have I ever posted anything about my family. Maybe a handful of times
Yeah.
since social media began in 2008 for me,
Yeah.
Facebook. Um, so for me, the process is, just reverse engineering
Yeah.
and really sticking to it. I'm always working on a bunch of different projects at the same time, but I'm working them.
Right.
It's not like I have an idea, it's fleeting, I get really excited, and then I just, oh, I'm bored. I put it away.
Sure.
If I really do start something, you better believe I'm going to finish it.
Right.
It may not take as long as, it may not be as quick as I maybe thought, because it's funny, because I know you're an artist, and how we underestimate how long something is going to take.
Right.
So that happens all the time,
All the
you
time.
know.
Yeah, that does happen. Yeah. You think because you know what, there's so many parts to
I
it,
know. I,
and as a you might be capable of doing every single part, but that means that you have to do every single part. So that just means there's a lot to do and stuff. Let's talk about music. Let's talk about actually the art. Let's talk about what was one of your favorite singers growing up? Like what makes you feel good? What artist?
oh, I love listening to those artists that have that temperament, that are very diva-ish,
Mm.
showy. I love cabaret stars,
Oh, okay.
like singers like Liza Minnelli, Shirley Bassey,
Yeah.
uh, those types of singers. Those are the ones that I absolutely love. And as a jazz singer, of course, I my influences stem from, of course, Ella,
Mm-hmm.
Billy. Um, but the ones that really just set my soul on fire are those singers that have that really larger than life. I mean, well, I don't even know why I say larger than life, because really there's nothing larger than life. Life
Right.
is it is, but
Right.
you know what I mean.
I know what
I
you
mean,
mean. Yeah.
I mean, come on, Liza Minnelli. Have you seen Liza in concert?
I just on video and stuff, not like I've never
Oh,
saw her
God,
in
she's insane.
really. Wow.
Oh, that's
You,
amazing.
I went once years ago. We went to Sardi's, Sardi's,
Yeah, of course.
and there was a singer there, and it was I can't remember why I was there, but I was sitting there, and and she came out, and wow, she was exactly what you're describing. She came out, and she filled the room with
Oh, I love it.
her personality, and she was so confident, and it was a little three-piece jazz or orchestra, and she came out and she talked to the audience. She walked around and asked people stories, and she controlled the room so well. So I know what you mean, and then she sang incredibly. She had this incredible
Mhm.
voice as well. Um,
And that's what
so
I'm drawn to. I'm drawn to the storyteller, the
yeah,
cabaret artist.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and it's, I don't like to say this, but come on, it's the truth. Cabaret, it's a dying art form. No matter how you look at it, it's a dying art form. Um, because the people, the audience that actually enjoys that art form, they're dying. you know?
yeah. I do think that there's gonna be a renaissance of a lot of things that we said was dying, because there are people that still love that that style of music and
Mhm.
cabarets and those shows, those type of shows. And I know a lot of people who are fairly young, have kids, and they're exposing their children to this music. So we are going to have that. And I think what's happening, and this is just my own little take on it, but I think that what's happening is there people are getting a little tired of paying $600-700 to see an artist, right? Like I wanted to go see John Legend one day. He was in New York, and I said, "Oh, it'd be nice to go
Mhm.
see him." So I went to go check to see tickets, and it would be about, for me and my wife to go, it would be about $600 for us to go see John Legend in concert, sitting in the
Well,
back. And I thought, I don't know if I want to pay that. I love John Legend. I mean, he's great, but I didn't. First of all, I didn't have it. I mean, it's not like I was going to shell out $600. But at the time, I was just like, I don't know if I wanted to do that. And now today, with these wonderful artists, I remember going to I'm sorry, I'm going off on something here, but I just remember what you said, something that really triggered something in my head. um,
mhm.
Remember the bottom line? It was a
Oh
club.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
so
love
the
it.
bottom,
Yeah.
an amazing venue, right? And I used to go to the bottom line, and I would see the most ridiculous musicians on the planet, like the greatest musicians ever to walk anywhere, right on that stage, a few feet away from me. I think I saw once the Buddy Rich band,
Wow.
not with Buddy Rich, but it was the Buddy Rich band, and they had like a guest drummer. I think it was Dave Weckl was a drummer, and the guitar. I mean, it was just this incredible band. I'm literally sitting like about 5 feet from the stage watching these guys, and I paid like $15,
I
right?
know.
So because of the internet, I think a lot of great musicians are being exposed more to people now that
Mhm.
than before, and I think it's going to level off some of the prices. I mean, paying $500-600 to go see an artist when you can go see like 15 artists that are amazing, and maybe even get to meet them, which I got to meet Chuck Mangione, and I got to meet a whole bunch
Oh,
of
love
artists.
him.
Oh, he was incredible. He was so
He's so
phenomenal.
hot.
This was actually at the Blue Note years ago.
Oh, love.
But
I worked as a waitress at the Blue Note.
did you really?
What?
I love that venue.
I used to make so much money there.
Oh, yeah, that's a
I used
really
to make
good
so much
spot.
money. I got that job because I was like, I could not afford, to pay and watch these great musicians. So I'm like, how can I make this work? Wait a minute, I'll
That is
work there.
perfect.
And I met the most incredible artists.
Yeah,
And it's funny because I was on like this rotation of waitresses where every week, we had an artist come in, that as soon as an artist comes in, it's like
right,
a run from Tuesday through Sunday.
right.
So for that week, you had that artist.
Mhm.
And no one ever liked to go and go to the dressing room, the artist dressing room, and take their order. So
Oh,
of course, I started working there, and I was the only one. Okay, I was like, that's my job, and
right.
I took it really personal
Yeah.
because I remember I used to wear my apron, my little apron in the front, and I had my straws, my take the check thing, with my pens, but I also had my CDs. All
I was
right.
gonna say yes.
I will not miss an opportunity, okay, to
Right.
promote myself,
Of
okay?
course.
So
Yeah.
I'm like giving my CDs out to Nancy Wilson, all
Wow.
right? I mean, I'm giving my CDs out to Shaka Khan, all right?
I met
I
her
have,
once actually. She's really
no,
nice.
and Shaka Khan's one of my favorite artists.
Yeah.
But
Oh yeah.
the best experience was meeting, well, my favorite artist on the planet, God, I mean, rest his soul, Gato Barbieri, the sax
Oh,
player.
yeah.
Oh God, seriously, I was so starstruck. Okay, and I don't care. I still gave him a CD.
Yeah.
So every day, I would go by, I don't know, maybe like 5, 10, 15 CDs every day. Every time I worked, I was
Yeah.
always picking up
Yeah.
everyone's shift because I really
Wow.
wanted to be there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I saw Irakere from Cuba. I saw Herbie Hancock.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I saw the
He's
greats. I saw the greats.
yeah.
Chick Corea,
Oh
that
yeah.
was phenomenal.
Yeah.
I saw, of course, Liza Minnelli was there. So many greats, so many wonderful
Wow.
musicians. But
Yeah.
anyway, keep going. I'm so sorry
Yeah.
I cut
No,
you
no,
off,
no.
but
That's
I
fine.
have to
That's
tell
fine.
you my story.
That's a perfect ending to my little rant thing. I was basically just really talking about that. These small venues I think that social media is gonna expose a lot of that type of music to a lot of people, and it'll always continue. Because I mean we're playing jazz now, right? Jazz is bigger.
Mhm.
Is big. It's huge. The blues the blues, right? The blues it's not exactly a new music. It's been around for a while, but we have
Absolutely.
guys. Yeah, we have amazing musicians like Joe Baramasa and
Oh, I
I
love him.
oh yeah, he's fantastic. I saw him live at the
Are you
uh,
serious? He's
somewhere.
wonderful.
Yeah, he was really loud, but he was incredible, just amazing. Um, and yeah, so all these artists I think are still reviving that, or re I don't know what I'm trying to say, but I'm just keeping it alive is what I'm trying to say. So let me ask you a question about
Mhm.
your style of music, like um, jazz vocalist, and you also teach, right, as well?
Yep. I'm a
You te-
voice teacher.
okay.
Um,
Tell me
I
about that.
Oh yeah. And thank you for asking, because
Yeah.
it's something I'm really passionate about. I love teaching voice lessons and acting lessons to people of all ages
Hmm.
and all levels. And I've been doing that since 2008. Um, I'm also a certified teacher through the school system.
Hmm.
Uh, I've been involved with education, for quite some time.
Yeah.
And but one thing I really, really do love is I love working with
Yeah.
teenagers.
Hmm.
That's very rewarding for me.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, and I do that. I do that now through my home as
Hmm.
well as virtual with this, with the COVID-19 situation. I've been teaching voice lessons virtually.
Hmm.
But next year, it was supposed to be this year, but everything is kind of like,
Yeah.
taking a turn. But I'm scheduled next year to open up a co-working and performing arts space. And
Oh
it's
wow.
just for creatives, for entrepreneurs, creative entrepreneurs
Hmm.
and performers. So it's going to be, different, rehearsal labs, rehearsal studios. It's going to be a 75-seat theater as well, and a
Wow.
creative space. That's I'm working so hard to make that happen and getting the
Yeah.
funding for that.
Yeah.
Uh, and
Wow.
one of the things is I want to, do is teach my voice lessons in
Hmm.
person again at a studio like I used to
Yeah.
several years back. Yeah.
Wow. That's so cool. And that's gonna be in Miami.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's so funny. I really was not planning on moving, so quickly.
Mm,
Okay. Um, but life happens, and I had to make a decision.
mm.
He's my oldest son, he's a teenager,
Yeah.
you know, drives me crazy.
Right.
So I had to make a decision. Either I stay in Jersey or I come back home. Well, come back to Miami. But I was going to actually open up the co-working space in Bayonne.
Oh, that's funny. Wow.
Yeah, and I was
Wow.
well, Lisa from Provident Legacy. I was already looking at spaces,
Wow.
and but then things happen. So
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
thinking that it's going to be here in Miami. I mean, I don't know where life is going to lead me. You never
Right.
know, but I'm
Right.
definitely looking into having it here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's so cool. Yeah, I mean, Bayonne definitely needs something like that. I have something that I've actually spoken. Actually, I've spoken to City Hall about it. I've also have conversations with the mayor and a few people on just kind of bringing a space together. There was one here years ago called the Arts Factory that did pretty well. It was a
Uh-huh.
stage and stuff, but I don't know what happened, but something like that. I think it's coming. I think Bayonne is it's gonna come here eventually. So that's awesome that you're doing that. Where can people get information on your teaching, and is it right there?
There you go. How did
Nice.
you do that?
Oh.
That's so
So
awesome.
I'll leave that on there, so anybody's interested, they can go on there and check you out, and
Yeah.
yeah, because
If
I think
anyone is interested in lessons, there's let me see if I remember my website correctly, because I built my websites, but then I forget what they look
of
like.
course I know I do
Um,
the same thing.
I think in the menu there's like book lessons or take lessons. You can definitely go there, or
Yeah.
you can also visit ElesianArtspace.com. But since you have the link there, it'll take them directly to the school.
Oh, okay, cool, awesome, awesome. Yeah, teaching is such a wonderful, just a wonderful thing, right? I mean, I do it all the time, and I also taught guitar as well. And with the company Take Lessons, I think is the company that I used, and was
Oh,
with.
I'm with Take Lessons.
Oh, okay, yeah. So
I'm an instructor and Take Lessons, believe it or not.
yeah, they're a great company, a really
Mhm.
great company, and so I was with them for about 3 years and did a lot of
Oh,
work.
nice.
Yeah, it was really good, and what the thing I like the most about it is that when somebody really wants to learn something, those are the students that you're getting. It's not like you're, because teaching in the public school or something like, which I had considered at one point. My wife is a teacher. To me, it's sort of like, it's a little bit different because some of them don't want to be there. Some of them don't really, their mind is somewhere else. But when you
Mhm.
have somebody that really wants to learn how to play the guitar, and they went out and bought a guitar, and they sit in front of you, and their eyes are open and they're so
I
excited. I
know.
love that moment. Same thing with like acting or any kind of a thing like that. It's just a wonderful thing to really impart that knowledge. So I'm gonna let me look. I have some questions here. Let me see what we got here. Somebody who I don't know. I don't know this person. Okay. Um, so this person says you love supporting people. Oh, this is actually my sister. Thank you, Francis.
Oh, that's
It's my
nice.
sister. Thank you. And this is, I don't know if you know Mark Stone, but Mark Stone watching live in Ghana. All right.
Oh,
Wow.
hello.
The show goes all the way to Ghana.
That's so great.
Yeah, it's wild. So let me ask you something about this. I always ask this question to my guests, and do you remember a moment, an obstacle that some major obstacle, it doesn't have to be well, yeah, let's go with major major obstacle that you overcame, that when you did overcome it, it was one of those things that you looked back and you said, whoa, wow, I can't believe, and now that I face that, this in front of me, piece of cake,
Mm.
do you remember a moment like that?
John, I have a few of those. Okay. One, let me see. I don't know, John.
Yeah.
You're making things very difficult because I've gone through so many of those moments, but I can tell you right off the bat when when I became a single parent,
Mm.
and having to leave with two very young children, and
Wow. Yeah.
starting a brand new life, with no money.
Mm.
Um, Moving to New York, the first time around, uh, with just a suitcase, a dog, and $150 in my pocket.
Mm.
And then everyone thought I was going to fail. Everyone thought I was going to fail. Oh, she'll come back. Oh, whatever. Just give her a month. When you wind up staying, and in New York, and you actually, start raising a family in New York, I
Mhm.
became an adult there.
Right.
Nobody thought I can do it, but I
Wow.
did. Just like, managing a single motherhood as an artist, as an entrepreneur,
Mm.
as, just as a mom in general, and being present. That's been challenging. However, it's funny because I don't really speak about my private life a
Mm.
lot, but when I do, somebody happens to ask me, they're like, I don't even know how you did it.
Mm.
Okay. But,
Wow.
I'm immune to strife, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the
Yeah.
last time around was, moving from Miami after my father passed away in 2017. And a few months later, I decided that I needed to change.
Mm.
And again, everyone thought I was crazy, but I just hopped on a plane with two kids, and I moved. And
Wow.
I moved myself into an empty apartment, and I started, buying furniture and buying things and forks and knives and glasses and bowls and soap and everything, just little by little.
Yeah.
It's a process.
Yeah.
So, and it's an art.
Mhm.
When you live your life, understanding and respecting the process,
Mhm.
you're able to make anything happen.
Mm.
Okay. But like the big one was giving birth to my children. I mean, like the second time around, I mean, it was a water birth, and I delivered my child on my own. So listen, John, if you can do that, you can do anything.
Oh my gosh. Well, I can't. I can't do
You
that,
can
but
do
I can.
anything. Seriously, when you're able to, John, don't try this at home,
No.
but if you're able to give birth naturally, and you're able to just like deliver your baby on your own, put him on your chest and say,
Wow.
okay, next. You
Wow.
can do
Well, I
anything.
think you're in good shape. I think you'll be good. I love what you said about when you respect the process, you can really accomplish anything.
You
Um,
really can,
and
John.
that is so true, because even though there's just that struggle there, the process is what the process is, and it's going to take what it's going to take. And having the humility to continue with that process, regardless of anybody telling you you're crazy or that you can't do this or whatever, and continuing to move forward is one of the most empowering things when you get there and you say, I did it. Here's a
John, and
baby.
I know, and I tell you, you did mention something early in our conversation that led me to believe that something very similar that has happened to me, where people may not understand you, and people may throw bricks at you,
Yeah.
and you know what? It's okay.
Yeah. I get that a lot. That's why I wear this hat.
That's
It cushions the
why you wear the
bricks.
hat.
Yeah.
Oh, to shield you from bricks.
Yeah, I get a lot of bricks thrown at me, and yeah, I get a lot of stuff. But it's so great to finally get to talk to you, and to
I
finally for
know.
us to
It was
to
really nice.
yeah, it was a pleasure. So that's your website. I know people can find you there. Give me one final word of advice for someone out there that's going through the process right now, maybe having some difficulties, some doubts, and give me something that's tangible for them that they might be able to take away and say, I'm going to be all right.
For an artist, um, just the simple fact that you are an artist, that you feel like you have something to offer, that you feel like you were born with a purpose. You have no other choice but to become that, because
Mm.
that is That's what God intends. That's who you are. Don't be afraid of the odd jobs. Don't be afraid of failing. Okay? You're going to fail. You might as well just get on that horse, keep riding, continue to fail, but failing forward.
There you
Okay?
go.
And that is the best advice I can give because, man, the life of an artist is not for the faint at heart.
No.
Okay?
Thank you so much. That was beautiful. I appreciate you so much. Don't
I
go away.
appreciate
I'm just gonna
you.
close up the show real quick, and I'll be right back. So give me 1 second, okay? Thank you, Yvette.
No, thank you.
You're awesome. Thank you. All right. Wow, that was so cool. So this is Yvette. I'm gonna flash her website again. Please, check out her website. Check, she does lessons also. You can check out some of her music. I'm sure there and videos. She's very beautiful and positive, and has a tremendous amount of value that she can give to all of you. So thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoy these interviews, please remember to like, subscribe, and share, and hit the little bell so you get notified every time we go live. As I mentioned before, if anybody has any questions, you can always email me at johnhenrysoto@gmail.com. And I did start a Patreon account recently, which is JHS 1000 patrons. And I have a few people already joined, so there's only about 998 people spaces left. So, but anyway, I love you all. Take care. I will see you all on Saturday night with my next guest, and I will talk to you then. Peace.